Hey guys, it's Clovis, and today we're going to talk about leveling up. We're going to talk about the best monsters to level up. I've already done a guide on this before, which that'll be in the description, the link to that video. Also in the top right, I believe, it's the top right of the YouTube video, I put the link so you can click on that, and then that'll be the leveling guide. So to give a quick refresher on how we're leveling up stuff as fast as possible, if you look at the map here, we're going to make a box around the enemy and just leave them one space in front of them to play something. And we're going to make the spaces they're on a crush tile. That just helps us manipulate what the enemy's doing a little bit. The premise of this is we want to bring out 5 of the same monster and skip turns, while the enemy does as little actions as possible every single turn. And the way we influence both of these things is, I guess, a separate thing to each other. Here I'll just focus on what we're doing with the enemy here with the crush tile. When we edit a deck in, what you want to put in the deck are copies of Gorgon's Eye and also copies of Raigeki. So the enemy, when you box them in, what the AI does is every turn they'll attempt to play the strongest thing in their hand. And if that monster they want to play is 1500 attack or higher, they just won't play anything because they won't put it on the crush because it'll die to the crush. If they play a spell or a trap card, they'll put it in defense. If unfortunately they play a monster that has an attack lower than 1500, they'll play an attack. However, in some cases, like if the defense is higher than the attack, they'll play it in defense mode. If they play a card in defense mode, whether it's a spell or a monster, and you have Gorgon's Eye, you play it face down, they'll double tap that card and then it gets stunned, so they won't double tap it anymore, because the AI will always touch every single one of their cards and put it back on the spot if they're not moving it. So to eliminate that happening, we use the Gorgon's Eye here to just stun that card, if they're playing one at all. If they play a card in attack mode, we basically use Raigeki to destroy that card and then hope it plays nothing after that, or it plays something in defense that we can stun with Gorgon's Eye. Most of the decks we set up for this actually will have the monsters, you know, because we're creating fusion monsters. If they're 1500 attack or higher and they're in the hand that the opponent first draws, they just won't play anything, and that's the fastest way to do it. Quickly, I want to mention another strategy that people have come up with and people always ask me about, isn't that faster? The one where you repeatedly destroy Wicked Worm Beast. It's actually technically slower. Even though you get more experience per turn, the turns are multiple times slower. The point that we're doing here is we're making the turn skipping as rapid as possible. And speaking of the turn skipping, I do want to clarify that this is the fastest method of ranking up. To get from 0, like nothing, to all the way up to Secretary of Defense will take roughly 6 hours, a little bit under if you're right. I know that sounds ridiculous. Blame the game, don't blame me. This is literally the fastest way that I've come up with being able to do this, and I don't know any way that's faster. If you try and do this without setting up 5 fusions on the field, it'll take you like 10 hours, maybe more. And if you try leveling up something to SD in casual play, it'll take you dozens and dozens and dozens of hours just repeatedly playing that one monster. It's not realistically achievable to get a lot of monsters to SD unless you have a lot of spare time. So yeah, you'll have to bear with me here. The whole point of this video is to suggest the best possible candidates. So we're going to talk about like the leader abilities of each type, and we're also going to talk about the options we have, because we want to be able to bring out 5 of the same monster. So bringing out 5 cards that we can fuse and play on the field is one step to doing that, although we can't do that for every single type. So in this video I'm basically going through each type and the best possible leader ability for that. In this example here, we're using Red Eyes Black Dragon. This is the best candidate for dragons. So with dragons' leader abilities, they have one of their 2 abilities scales. So the level cost reduction for summoning the same type, if your dragon Secretary of Defense, the one you're leveling up, is 7 summoning stars or above, you get the 2-star reduction for that. Whereas if you level up a 6-star dragon, you only get the 1. so we definitely want a 7-star or above. The reason why we're using Red Eyes Black Dragon instead of a card like Blue Eyes White Dragon is we can fuse to make Red Eyes Black Dragon. If you fuse a Dark Dragon, any Dark Dragon will do, with Tyhone number 2, you make Red Eyes Black Dragon. You can also play Red Eyes Black Dragon out of the hand, so between those 3 Red Eyes Black Dragon you have and the 3 Tyhone 2s you can have fusing with any Dark Dragon, you can bring out 5, because 5 is a max. If there wasn't a max, you'd be able to bring out 6, but the max on the field is 5. So you can see here, basically in this example, what we're doing is bringing out 5 Red Eyes Black Dragons, and this is the method we'll be trying to do every single time possible. There's some types such as insects and reptiles that don't really have fusions for those type of monsters, so we'll have to make exceptions for those or just accept the fact that we can't do this strategy. But for most of them, we'll be able to do this strategy, and I'll be recommending basically the best in terms of optimal leader ability scaling, and also just being able to bring out up to 5 of them. If we can have any monster type similar to this case where we can bring out the max threshold of that scaling ability with something we can bring out 5 on the field, that's perfect. Another dragon you can actually do for the 7-star dragon leader abilities is actually Harpy's Pet Dragon. It's also 7 stars, and the attribute and everything don't make a difference with deck leaders, it just matters what level it is and what type it is, and that determines all the abilities for pretty much all the types. So if for whatever reason you like Harpy's Pet Dragon more than Red Eyes Black Dragon, you can do that as well. To fuse Harpy's Pet Dragon, you simply need to fuse a dragon with Harpy Lady. As you can see here, we've got 5 Red Eyes Black Dragon out in the field, so basically we're just going to be skipping turns repeatedly. You can see the enemy haven't got any cards on the field because of the way we've set the deck up and the field. So now here we just repeatedly skip turns, and each turn takes a second, like pretty much roughly a second each. So we basically just do this and skip turns all the way down to 0. And then skipping ahead, we can see Red Eyes Black Dragon has been promoted. So yeah, that's pretty cool. You can see here in the leader abilities that the Red Eyes Black Dragon has both leader abilities. Obviously waiting for the picture to appear here, that's the cool Red Eyes Black Dragon picture. And there you go, it's got the 2 leader abilities, so at SD, dragons have increased movement and level cost reduction for summoning same type. And because we're a 7-star dragon, that reduces by 2. Again, you could use Blue Eyes White Dragon, but there's no way to bring out 5 Blue Eyes White Dragon without, you know, doing something like destroying the enemy's copies of it and then using Monster Reborn. But that's really slow. We're just trying to make this as fast as possible, basically. Alright, so just as a quick refresher, the dragons have the leader abilities of increased movement. All dragons get that, but the level cost reduction for summoning same type scales depending on the level. And to get 2-star reduction, which is a max, you need a level 7 or above dragon. So that's why I recommend Red Eyes Black Dragon or Harpy's Pet Dragon, as they're the 2 you can fuse to make it. If you do want the low level ability, you'll have to go down to 3 stars or lower, where you get Open Opponent's card instead. But in my opinion, the level cost reduction for 7 stars and above is just way better. Alright, for Spellcasters, the leader abilities we have actually scale up to 5 stars. The increased strength for same type friendlies and weaken specific enemy type, every class that has that, it scales up to 5 stars. So if you have either of these leader abilities or both, you definitely want a 5-star or above monster. So the recommendation here, the optimal one is Musician King. It's the only level 5 or above spellcaster that you can fuse to make up to 5 of them. You fuse Hikibime with Sonic Maid and you make Musician King. So you need 3 Musician Kings and then 2 of those fusions. Any combination of 3 and 2 of the other, so you can put 5 out on the field. The other recommendation I have is actually Dark Elf. There's only 4 stars, so you don't get the full benefits. There's only 400 instead of 500. But the difference is only slightly smaller, and Dark Elf is a really cool card, so I'm just throwing that in there. To fuse Dark Elf, you just fuse any card with Elf in its name with a Dark Spellcaster, and you get Dark Elf. So it's even easier to bring out, and I think it's cooler. It's dark, it's edgy, it's cool. It's dark, like, you know, the dark spell cards, they're the cooler ones like Dark Magician and Skull Knight, so yeah, that's why I'm just quickly recommending Dark Elf. If you want low level, you can go down to any of the 2 or 1 stars, and you get the terrain change, but in my opinion terrain change is not worth it. It's not a very good ability, so use it at your own discretion. You know, you can't really level up any of these cards very fast. The only one you could do potentially is Buku, if you flip up a bunch of Spirit of the Books to put them, and then you summon Bukus after that. But that is a lot of effort, and you're not getting the full benefit of your other scaling abilities, which I think are stronger. Zombies also have the same set of leader abilities. You have increased strength for same type friendlies and weaken specific enemy type, which both scale. Extended support range does not scale, but the other two do, and that's 5 stars, it maxes out. So if you have 5 star zombie or above, you have the max. And we have 3 fusions that are actually, they're all 6 stars. There's no 5-star fusion, so we just have to go 6 stars. It doesn't make a difference, it's still the full thing. 5 or above is fine. Pumpkin, the King of Ghosts, you can fuse any plant with any zombie as long as one of those components is 1000 attack. Skelgon, you fuse Dragon Zombie with any zombie. You can actually make Dragon Zombie with any dragon and any zombie. So if you don't actually have dragon zombies, you can fuse a zombie with a dragon with a zombie, and that will make Skelgon. And for Great Mammoth the Gold Fiend, it's a bit harder to bring out than the other two. You have to use Mammoth Graveyard with a zombie to make 3 of them, and that's the only way to fuse it, so you'll need 3 copies of this, or 2, you know, 2 and 3, to actually bring out 5 of them. So you'll need this, like a few copies of this card to actually bring out 5 in the first place. But other than that, you have the option of Great Mammoth, Skelgon, or Pumpkin. They're all the best options for this strategy. If you're on low level, you can go down to, you have to go level 1 actually, and you get the direct damage halved. So if you want direct damage halved for zombies, you can go Shadow Spectre, Skull Serpent, Bone Mouse. Again, just keep in mind, if you're doing that low level, then your other abilities are pretty much useless. They only scale 100 points each. So if you have Bone Mouse, Skull Serpent, or Shadow Spectre as your deck leader, even if you have direct damage halved, you're only increasing the attack and defense of your zombies by 100. So it's not very strong. Okay, so warriors have a weak set of leader abilities. They don't actually have increased strength for same type friendlies. Instead, they have weakened specific enemy type and extended support range, and that's actually incredibly weak. Extended support range is only ever useful if you have something else in tangent with it, and weakened specific enemy type is kind of just a weak ability. If you're not against those specific enemies, then it literally does nothing. So what you actually should do, in my recommendation, is go down to the low level abilities. You get low level open opponent's card at level 3, and you can actually fuse, there's level 3 fusion, Dragoness the Wicked Knight. So you can bring out 5 Dragoness the Wicked Knight, you just need to fuse a warrior with a dragon, and it's 3 stars, so you know, 1, 2 or 3 doesn't matter too much, but you do, the weakened specific enemy type does scale, so you may as well use a level 3, and there's not a lot of fusions low down, but there is this one, so this is like the optimal leader ability, I feel. Open Opponent's card isn't the craziest ability in the game, but in combination with extended support range, it's actually super strong. So yeah, between those two, I heavily recommend Dragoness the Wicked Knight. Also, if you want, you actually have the option of, where is it? There's Doron and Kage Ningen. Basically, these both have an effect, but when you flip it up, it creates a copy of itself, so you can bring 5 out of them quite easily. If you just have 3 of them in your deck, and you just, you know, play it and flip it up, then you can bring out 5 of them on the field and skip turns the same way. They're both level 2, so you have 100 less reduction, but it's pretty much the same thing, so the choice is yours, just in case you wanted Kage Ningen or Doron as your deck leader instead of Dragoness. I do recommend Dragoness though, purely because it has that level 3 scaling. It's the highest scaling without sacrificing that low level ability, and it looks cool. Alright, so Beast Warriors have a really cool set of leader abilities. The only unfortunate thing is that there's no fusions. Of course, you can fuse to make Nekagao and Rabbit Horseman, but you can't acquire copies of this in the game without cheating, so they're not actual options. You can't set them as your deck leader without cheating. You could cheat them in, but if you had a cheating device, you would just max everything out to SD like I have here. So yeah, just forget about those. the only level 6 monster you can level and put as your deck leader is Panther Warrior. And the reason why you want a level 6 is level cost reduction for summoning same type is reduces your Beast Warriors by 2 if you have a level 6 Beast Warrior deck leader, whereas if you have a level 5 Brood Kaiser, Battle Steer, or Garuzis, they're only 1, and these aren't fusions either. So if you're going to level a Beast Warrior, you may as well level Panther Warrior so you can get the 2-star reduction. If you think about it, it's pretty crazy. That means you can play Panther Warrior for 4 stars if you have Panther Warrior SD as your deck leader. If you go to the 4 stars, these guys don't actually get the reduction at all, so it's pointless to have a level 4 Beast Warrior deck leader. But if you go down to the level 3, you have Mountain Warrior and Solitude. Either of these work, and instead of that cost reduction, you get Open Opponent's card. And again, because you have extended support range with Open Opponent's card, it's actually pretty strong. So they are 2 options. They're just as hard to level up as Panther Warrior, but I definitely recommend Panther Warrior. It is just the single most dominant Beast Warrior deck leader. It's just huge impact to the deck. Your deck will be super strong. A Beast Warrior deck with Panther Warrior deck leader is just really strong. And unfortunately there's no fusions for this. There's no way to bring out multiple copies really fast. You just have to play the 3 and then 2 of another monster you want to play and level that up. But yeah, Panther Warrior, that's the best option. Okay, so beasts have increased strength for same type friendlies and weaken specific enemy types. So 2 of their 3 abilities scale, and of course we already know that they scale up to 5 stars, so any material that's 5 or above is a good option. And to bring out 5, we obviously want fusions. So one of them is Garvus. You can fuse any beast with any winged beast and it will bring out Garvus. Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast is a bit harder. It's easy to fuse, you just need a 4-star beast with a 4-star fiend and it will make Chimera every single time. The only difficulty is you need to reincarnate to get this card. So if you don't have copies of it, you can't set as your deck leader, but you can obtain this in the game legitimately if you reincarnate. But if you don't have that, you want to use Garvus or something else. Your other 2 options are Tatsu no Toshigo. You fuse any beast with any fish, as long as they're both below 1350 attack. You can create this up to 5 copies, it's 5 stars, so you have the full scaling as well. And the last option is Flower Wolf. You just fuse a beast with a plant. So between any of these 4, you can bring 5 of them out. They've all got 5 stars or higher, so you get the full benefits of your leader abilities. The problem to watch out for with Tatsu no Toshigo is it's lower than 1500 attack, so the Crush Tile trick might not work if you have your deck full of fusion material for this card. The enemy will just keep playing it probably, and it'll be harder to do the skipping method. So for that reason, I'll recommend one of the other ones over that. Probably Flower Wolf or Garvus, because you can get them both in the graveyard slots. I'm pretty sure you can get Flower Wolf in the graveyard slots. You should be able to, but if you can't, then just go Garvus. It's the easiest one. You get it in the slots, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I like him. Winged Beast, it's a very easy pick. We're going to go with Punished Eagle. Looking at the leader abilities, we have Increased Movement, Weaken Specific Enemy Type. Increased Movement doesn't scale, all Winged Beasts get that, but Weaken Specific Enemy Type does scale, so you probably want level 5 or above. But the main one we're looking at here is level cost reduction for summoning same type. Only level 6 Winged Beasts actually get this. Level 5 and lower don't get it, and out of the 6-star Winged Beasts you can have Monstrous Bird, Skullbird, and Punished Eagle. Punished Eagle is a fusion, so you can bring out 5 of them easily. You just need to fuse a warrior with a 1300 attack or above Winged Beast, and you create Punished Eagle every single time. I'm pretty sure Princess Tsurugi doesn't work in a few fusions, so don't use that, but you can use the 1-star warriors apart from that. You can use Swordsman of the Foreign Land, and you can use Ninja. You can use any warrior that you want and fuse it with the Winged Beast. As long as the Winged Beast has 1300 attack or above, it'll work. Alright, so for Fiends we have a handful of options. First one I'll point out is Summon Skull. Summon Skull is one of the hardest cards to get in the game. You can only get a 3 in a row for it. You can't reincarnate, there's no password, nothing like that. So I do have a few other options, but Summon Skull is one of the coolest monsters in the game. It's one of the more popular ones for everyone, and it's one of my personal favorites, so that's why I'm just recommending this first. If you have even 2 copies of this, you can bring out 5 if you do the fusion 3 times. The fusion to make this is you you fuse Job Change Mirror with any Fiend that has an attack of 1600 or higher. The only Fiend that doesn't work for that is Raigeki Empowered. Every other Fiend works as long as you have 1600 attack or above, so you can bring out up to 5 Summon Skulls using that method. For leader abilities quickly, we do have the generic set, the increased strength and weaken specific enemy types, so we want 5 stars and above for that. Other options we have is actually Whiptail Crow. You can get this card in the slots quite easily. You can get it from Panic. To fuse to make it, you fuse Ryukishin, not Ryukishin powered, but just the normal Ryukishin with any reptile. Any reptile works, and you can bring out 3 Reptile Crows doing that, and then just play the other 2. Any combination of those. The other 2 options we have for bringing 5 out is Ushioni and Soul Hunter. Soul Hunter is easy to bring out 5 even if you don't have copies of it. One of the fusion materials for the fusion can be any reptile. The other card needs to be either Cross Clown or Clown Zombie. Either of those 2 cards work. So you can fuse Cross Clown or Clown Zombie with any reptile and you'll create Soul Hunter. Ushioni, you need a 1500 attack or above Spellcaster. Make sure it's not female because that would get in the way of some of the fusions. And you fuse that 1500 attack or above Spellcaster with either Morphing Jar, Ancient Jar, Pot the Trick, or Cherubin the Fire Knight. Cherubin the Fire Knight was supposed to be Dragon Piper, but they made a mistake when they programmed it. So you have to use Cherubin the Fire Knight instead. But yeah, any of those 4 monsters fused with a 1500 attack or above Spellcaster will make Ushioni. So yeah, you can bring out 5 of these quite easily. One of the easier ones out of these 4, I would say. Provided you have the materials to it, of course. Alright, so for Fairies, we have a beautiful set of leader abilities, but one of them scales, and because of that, the increased strength for same type friendly scaling, we definitely want a level 5 or above Fairy. So Dark Witch is my pick here. You can't get Dark Witch in the graveyard slots, but you can reincarnate to get it, and you only need 1 copy to set as your deck leader. It's like the easiest monster in the game to fuse, or one of them because it's female. You just need to fuse a Fairy with a female, and that includes a lot of Fairies are female, so you can literally, if you have a deck full of female Fairies, you can just fuse any 2 cards, as long as it's not, you know, low enough to meet a threshold for Mystical Elf. You'll make Dark Witch every single time. It's 5 stars, so you get the full 500 attack and defense bonus for all your Fairies, which is really, really handy. And so there's no better recommendation than that. I think you might be able to fuse Wing Egg of New Life, but I'm not 100% sure of that fusion, and also the attack is lower than 1500, so if you stack your deck full of fusions for that, then it will be really, really difficult to do that method. But if you figure out how to do that, Wing Egg of New Life you can get in the graveyard slot, so it might be easier to do that if you want like an egg deck leader. But you guys know I'm going to recommend Dark Witch because she's super cool, so yeah. Alright, so onto the insects. Unfortunately we don't have any optimal options, but we do have the 5-star scaling abilities, so you want a 5-star insect or above. Unfortunately none of these fuse. I can't even find any other insects like that are created out of a fusion at all, so I think you just need to pick your favorite of any of the obtainable 5-star or above insects. So you got Hercules Beetle, Dungeon Worm, even though he's a bit harder to obtain, he's still pretty cool, Hunter Spider, and Quagga Hercules. These, with the exception of Dungeon Worm, these guys you can obtain from Weevil, just from the graveyard slots, so it's quite easy to get multiple copies of them, but you just have to play 3 of them out on the field and then use 2 other cards that you want to level up, face up, and skip turns like that. Again, if you do that between 2 different monsters you want to level, it will eventually end up taking the same time if you do half of it with 3 of one card and 2 of the other, and the other half the other way around. It's the best way to get around it because you can't fuse to make any of these. Alright, so Dinosaurs have a very disappointing set of leader abilities. For whatever reason, you only get movement boost for same type friendlies. And the good thing, the saving grace about it is that you get it quite early. I believe in the 2nd rank you get it. So that means you probably only have to do one full duel of the 5, bringing out 5 monsters. So I basically just grab these fusions here, and you can pick any of these, and just, yeah, one full 99 turn of skipping with them all face up should get you that leader ability, and that's all you need to do for Dinosaurs. So Sword Arm of Dragon, Megazowler, and Brachiosaurus, they're your 3 options, your 3 best options. I don't even think any of the other dinosaurs are actually fusions at all, so you may as well just use, these are all level 6, but yeah. Sword Arm of Dragon, you fuse a dinosaur with a warrior. Doesn't matter what attack they are, it'll always make it. Megazowler, you fuse a rock with a reptile. Again, it's any attack works for both of them, but if the reptile is 1400 attack or above, it makes Brachiosaurus. So Brachiosaurus can be made by fusing a rock with a reptile that has 1400 attack. The rock attack doesn't matter, just the reptile needs to be 1400 or above. And that way you can bring out 5 Brachiosaurus, or 5 Megazowler, or 5 Sword of Arm Dragon. I always call it Sword of Arm Dragon, but it's Sword Arm of Dragon. But yeah, any of these 3 are decent options. Basically just bring 5 of these out and skip the turns for one full game, and then you should get that leader ability, because you get it pretty low. Reptiles, just like the insects, there's no real fusions here, so it's a bit disappointing. You can't really bring out 5 properly, but you do have increased strength for same type friendlies and weaken specific enemy type, so you may as well pick a 5-star reptile. So your options are Serpentine Princess and Emperor of the Land and Sea, whatever one you think is cooler. Okay, so fish have a pretty interesting set of abilities. Weaken specific enemy type does scale up to 5, as we already know. Level cost reduction for summoning same type, you need to have a level 5 or above fish to get this. There's no level 6 fish, and the level 7 fish, Fortress Whale, is unobtainable without cheats. So the only real options are 5-star fish. That's the optimal option for deck leaders. And luckily there's 2 fusions we can make. So Misai Rizame, you can fuse any fish with any machine, and you'll make Misai Rizame every single time. Marine Beast is a bit more specific. You need to fuse rare fish with an Aqua. So you'll need 3 copies of Marine Beast, or 2, and then 3 copies of rare fish with 3 Aquas to bring out 5 of them. But these are both 5 summoning levels, so considering you want a 5-star fish as your deck leader, and this and Misai Rizame, you can bring out 5 copies, you use either of these options, whichever one you prefer. Again, for Sea Serpents, we have a choice between 2. Optimally, we want 6 stars. If we look at the leader abilities, movement boost for same type friendlies we get on all of the Sea Serpents. Level cost reduction for summoning same type, however, if you're level 6, you get the 2 reduction. If it's level 5, like Kairushin or Spike Seadra, you only get 1. So you may as well do Aqua Dragon or Sea King Dragon. The cool thing about them is they're both fusions, so you can pick either of them. For Aqua Dragon, you can fuse a 5-star Sea Serpent with a 5-star Aqua. And Sea King Dragon, you fuse a dragon with an Aqua. I'm pretty sure they both need to be 1500 attack or above, but I'm not 100% sure, so experiment if you have to. But yeah, either of these 2 options work because they're both 6 stars, they're both fusions. So just pick whatever you think is cooler out of Aqua Dragon and Sea King Dragon. Alright, so for machines, if you're level 6 or above, you get the level cost reduction for summoning same type. The other 2 leader abilities, it doesn't matter what level you have it, you'll always get it. So you want a level 6 or above machine deck leader. The difference is level 6 only reduces by 1, whereas all these level 7s reduce by 2. So that's obviously way better. It's up to you if you want it. I personally think it's 100% worth it if you guys like machines. Pick your favorite out of Labyrinth Tank, Barrel Dragon, Slot Machine, or Launcher Spider. Those are your 4 options for the 7 summoning level machines, but none of them are fusions, unfortunately. So if you do want a fast leveling, you can go Metal Dragon. You only get 1-star reduction, but you can fuse Metal Dragon very easily by fusing any machine with any dragon. But again, in my opinion, if you're going to go all the way up to SD, you may as well do, you know, the legit best option, which is the 7-star one, so you get the 2 level cost reduction for summoning same type on machines, because that is just insane. So yeah, pick your favorite out of any of these 4. Be wary of Barrel Dragon due to a flip effect. If if you want to level these up, you probably want a card like the Stern Mystic, which will flip all the cards on the field face up. Otherwise, it's easier to just use the others if you want. So again, for Thunders, we have the same set of leader abilities as Warriors. It's extremely weak. You're only getting weak in specific enemy type scaling, so you've got Thunder Dragon, Kaminari Attack, and Bolt Escargot, which are your 3 5-star cards. You got Sangre the Thunder as well, but these 3 5-star cards you can all fuse to make. Thunder Dragon, you just fuse a dragon with a Thunder. Kaminari Attack, you fuse a Thunder with a Spellcaster. And Bolt Escargot, you fuse an Aqua with the Thunder. In my personal opinion, the best deck leader you can have for a Thunder deck is actually a level 7-star or above Dragon. And that's because you get the Dragon reduction, so you can bring out Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon a lot easier if you have a Dragon deck leader, whereas the Thunder deck leaders don't actually do anything beneficial for Thunders. So if you want a Thunder deck and everything, I would go back to the Dragons are level 7 and above, and yeah, level 1 of those up to SD and you get that level reduction. Alright, so for Aqua you have 6 options. If we look at the leader abilities again, we've got the basic set that scales up to 5 stars, so we want anything that's 5 stars or above that we can fuse to make. So you'll notice there's a few turtles in this, and turtles you can actually fuse to make if you use a turtle plus another thing. So options here, we have 30,000 Year White Turtle. You fuse a turtle with Time Wizard. Because there's only 3 copies of Time Wizard in a deck, you'll need 3 copies of this or 2. Giant Turtle who feeds on flames, you can fuse a turtle with a Pyro. Amphibious Bugroth isn't a turtle, but you can fuse Machine Attacker Bugroth with any Aqua to make this, so you can have up to 5. Of course, you need 2 or 3 copies of this to bring out 5. Boulder Tortoise, you fuse a turtle with a rock. And Turtle Bird, you fuse a Winged Beast with a turtle. I think I'm missing one here, let's quickly look back. Fire Kraken. Again, this isn't a turtle, but you can fuse an Aqua with a Pyro to make this. And again, all these monsters that I mentioned, you can have 5 out on the field and they're 5 stars or above. So yeah, these are your best options. Alright, so Pyros, yet again, we've got the increased strength for same type friendlies and weaken specific enemy types, so we want level 5 or above. We have 2 options. We technically have 3, but Molten Behemoth you can't fuse to make, whereas Vermilion Sparrow and Flame Cerberus you can both fuse to make. So Vermilion Sparrow, to fuse that, you need to fuse any Pyro with Flame Swordsman, and Flame Swordsman itself you can fuse any warrior with any Pyro. So to make Vermilion Sparrow, fuse Pyro, it's like a chain fusion, you fuse Pyro with a warrior with a Pyro, and you get Vermilion Sparrow every time. For Flame Cerberus is a bit more specific. I think you need to use a 3-star Pyro or above, and I think a 3-star Beast or above. I'm not sure if all Beasts work, but if you fuse Wolf or Silver Fang with any 3-star Pyro or above, it'll make Flame Cerberus every single time. So between Flame Cerberus and Vermilion Sparrow, you can choose either of those 2 options and you get the full leader ability benefits and scaling of the leader abilities, of course. And just like Pyros, again for rocks, we have 2 options of, with the scaling of the increased strength for same type friendlies. You can go Mystical Sand or Stone D. These are both 5 stars and above, and they're both fusible, so you can bring 5 of them out. Mystical Sand, you can fuse any rock with a 4-star female. So as long as a female is 4 summoning stars, so you can use like Mystical Elf or, Khan the Swords Mistress. Any 4-star female will work if you fuse it with a rock to make Mystical Sand. For Stone D, you need to fuse a rock with a dragon. The dragon's attack needs to be 1200 and above. I'm not 100% sure about the rock threshold, so you might need to do a bit of experimenting for that. If you're using the 1500 attack dragons, it'll work every single time. If you're fusing it with stuff like, all the 4-star rocks, it should work. It shouldn't be a hard fusion to make, so. Depending on what you think is cooler out of Mystical Sand or Stone D, they're both cards you can bring 5 out of, and you have the full leader ability scaling of increased strength. Alright, and yet again we have 2 optimal options, a choice between 2. You have Queen of Autumn Leaves or Rose Spectre of Dun. The leader ability scaling Similar to the last couple, we just have the increased strength for same type friendly, so you do want a level 5 or above so that you get the full benefit of that with 500 attack and defense. Queen of Autumn Leaves, you fuse any plant with any female, and you'll make Queen of Autumn Leaves every time. And Rose Spectre of Dawn, you fuse any plant with any fiend, and you make Rose Spectre of Dawn every single time. Neither of these have an attack threshold, so they're some of the easiest cards to bring out, so whatever you think is cooler out of Queen of Autumn Leaves or Rose Spectre of Dawn, the choice is yours. They're both the perfect options for a plant deck. Alright, so for Immortals, I'm just going to fill you in about them quickly. I know you guys are probably aware they have the terrain change to Crush. For some reason, they changed the Immortal so that it scales off deck cost and not level. So if your Immortal has a deck cost lower than 40 and you level it up, you get terrain change. But you have the low level ability at a deck cost of 20 or lower of Open Card. So if you're going to level up any of those cards to get the terrain change, you may as well level up Mucus Yoke or Joust of Dark Demise, because they get Open Opponent's card on top of that ability. So yeah, if you consider that there's no scaling to these abilities, there's no real reason to add, to level up any of these other cards here when you can do Joust of Dark Demise or Mucus Yoke, because you get the exact same thing with Open Opponent's card on top of it for free, essentially. So unless you really love these cards and you want to level them up above the other two, there's no reason to do that. The difference is, if you go above 40 deck cost, you get level cost reduction for summoning same type. This doesn't scale, it's always 1-star reduction. So you might think any of these 4 options are good, but my personal recommendation, if you're leveling up one of these that has level cost reduction for summoning same type, is actually Carrot Idol. And the reason for that is Shape Snatcher's effect. If it's in attack mode, it copies the attack and defense of your opponent's deck leader, so you don't have control over that really. But if it's in defense mode, it copies your deck leader's defense, so you want the highest defense deck leader that you can have so that you can play Shape Snatch and put in defense, and then you have 3100 attack, 3100 defense on Shape Snatch. And if you consider, with the level cost reduction, leader ability, especially if Carrot Idol as your deck leader, you can play Shape Snatch for 4 stars. So if you bring that out, you can play a 3100 defense card for 4 stars. So if you draw Shape Snatch on the first turn with an SD deck leader of Carrot Idol, then yeah, you can play this 3100 defense, 4 stars, and that's pretty nuts. Again, it's totally up to you if you want terrain change or level cost reduction for summoning same type. This video isn't really to discuss the theory of which is better, the option is totally yours. I'm just kind of showing you guys what monsters you can level up for these options, so yeah. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if there's any details that I've missed or forgot to put in the description, let me know in the comments, and then I'll actually put that information that I forgot to put in the description in the description. I did say before, by the way, that this is like the last video that I actually wanted to make. I actually stopped or announced that I didn't want to do these videos anymore a month or so ago. But this video is something I always wanted to do because leader abilities are like my favorite thing in this game, and it's something not a lot of people know about because the leveling system is so garbage. So that's the whole point of me doing this video, is to just expose my interest and my love, I guess, for the leader abilities in Jewels of the Roses. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope this video helped you pick a nice deck leader candidate for what you're going to level up, and that it saves you some time and hassle looking through different resources and videos trying to find the best one. You can basically pick your favorite monster out of the ones that I mentioned that were good candidates, and hopefully have a bit of fun using the leader abilities, because I think leader abilities are really cool. They're a really nice part of deck building. It allows you to do a lot more. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever that is, and bye bye.